Each morning, as the world awakens and sunlight stretches gently across the earth, I begin my day by observing the body in stillness. In this quiet, I listen. I listen to the breath, the tension in the joints, the weariness in the legs. And I am reminded, strength is not always about muscle. It is about energy, balance, and connection. In my experience, strength does not begin with a pill or a protocol. It begins with presence, with food prepared in mindfulness, with nourishment offered gently to a body that has served long. Supplements have their place, but they are not the first step. Nature provides when we learn to listen. For many elders, the first steps of the day are not light. There is a heaviness, a trembling, a hesitation. Legs that once carried them across cities and gardens now falter. And yet, hidden in the simplicity of nature lies a remedy: vitamin D. As we age, our bodies inevitably change. This is not a failure. It is nature's rhythm. Muscles diminish, bones become porous, movements once fluid begin to resist. But one of the most silent contributors to this decline is often overlooked: a deficiency in vitamin D. Vitamin D is more than a nutrient. It is the bridge between sunlight and strength. Without it, the body forgets how to hold itself. The muscles weaken, the balance shifts, the bones lose their resilience, and yet, with it, the body remembers. In my own experience, guiding others on their physical and spiritual journeys, I have seen how profound the transformation can be when this vital element is restored. Vitamin D nourishes more than the bones. It fuels the communication between muscle and mind. It enhances coordination, strengthens fast-twitch muscle fibers, and sharpens the body's ability to react swiftly when balance is lost. In essence, it gives the body a second chance to trust itself again. Many elders no longer walk beneath the sun as they once did. Out of fear, fatigue, or fragility, they retreat indoors. And with this withdrawal comes a silent cost. The skin, our natural solar panel, becomes less efficient at synthesizing vitamin D. Combined with less exposure to daylight, this leads to a slow, almost invisible weakening of the legs. We do not notice it at first. A missed step, a stumble, a moment of instability, but over time, this becomes a pattern, then a risk. Scientific studies confirm what the body already whispers. Low levels of vitamin D are directly linked to increased falls and muscle weakness in older adults. But I do not need data to understand this truth. I see it in the eyes of those who come to me, searching for steadiness, not just in the body, but in the mind. Vitamin D is also an anti-inflammatory force. Inflammation, left unchecked, creates chronic discomfort, stiffness in the knees, unexplained pain in the calves, cramps at night that steal sleep from those who need it most. For some, restoring vitamin D is enough to quiet this suffering, like wind calming a restless lake. But let us look deeper. Without sufficient vitamin D, calcium, the mineral of structure, cannot find its place in the bones. It drifts, unused, leading to brittleness and fractures. A minor fall becomes a major injury. A fracture becomes months of recovery, or the end of mobility altogether. Even more profoundly, the absence of vitamin D has been linked to heart disease, weakened immunity, and cognitive decline. So when I speak of leg strength, I do not speak only of walking. I speak of independence, of dignity, of the ability to rise from a chair without fear, to step outside without hesitation, to dance again, if only in the quiet rhythm of everyday movement. So how do we honor this need? How do we welcome vitamin D back into our lives? The answer is both simple and sacred. Begin with the sun. Even 15 minutes of morning light on the skin, on your arms, your face, your legs, can awaken the body's natural ability to synthesize this essential vitamin. Let the sun touch you without fear, just as it has since the beginning of life itself. But be wise. Too much protection, too much sunscreen, and the gift is blocked. Then turn to your food. Fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, eggs, mushrooms, and fortified dairy, these are the silent allies of your bones. For those who experience discomfort with dairy, plant-based alternatives such as fortified oat or almond milk can offer nourishment without distress. Let your meals become your medicine, prepared with care, consumed with presence. And for those whose lives no longer allow for enough sun or food alone, supplements are not a weakness. They are a choice of wisdom. Most elders thrive with 800 to 1000 IU per day. But remember, the body is unique. Sometimes more is needed, sometimes less. A simple blood test, a conversation with a thoughtful doctor can guide you. And I encourage this. Do not wait for weakness to remind you of what has been missing. Be proactive, be curious. Your legs are not separate from your purpose. They carry you through life. They ground your intentions. They lift you when the spirit calls. In my monastery, we train our legs not just to kick or jump, but to stand in stillness. Strength does not always roar, it often whispers. And vitamin D, though invisible, is a whisper worth listening to. So, to those who feel their steps becoming shorter, who fear the stairway, or who long to walk unassisted again, begin with the sun, begin with food, begin with care. Your strength is not lost. It is simply waiting to be remembered. And as the light returns to your body, let movement return as well. Not rushed, not forced, just present. A walk in silence, a stretch with breath. Even the act of standing in stillness can be an offering to the legs. It is not motion alone that strengthens us, but the awareness we bring to it. In every step we take, whether on stone paths or wooden floors, there is a silent partner that bears our weight, our bones. They do not speak, they do not ask for praise, but when they are weak, the whole body remembers. As we grow older, the rhythm of our bones begins to change. Unlike the young, whose bones are constantly rebuilding themselves with vigor, the aging body slowly loses this power. It is not sudden. It is gradual, like the fading echo of a bell. And this loss, if not addressed, leads to something more than discomfort. It leads to fragility. In my practice, I have seen many elders who walk with caution, not because they fear the world, but because their bones no longer feel dependable. A fall that once meant nothing in youth can now lead to a hip fracture, a cracked femur, or a stress injury in the lower limbs. And these injuries are not merely physical. They fracture freedom, independence, and dignity. Calcium is not just a mineral, it is the foundation. Without it, our bones become hollow shells, vulnerable to the weight of time and gravity. But this is only half the truth. Calcium does not only live in the bones, it flows with intention into our muscles as well. Each movement, each breath, each lift of the body requires calcium to trigger the muscle fibers into action. It is the spark behind motion, the unseen signal that turns thought into physical grace. When the body lacks calcium, the muscles hesitate. They cramp, they weaken, and they lose the endurance to support us throughout the day. A simple act like rising from a chair becomes a strain, not because the will is absent, but because the fuel is missing. So how do we nourish the body with this essential element? Dairy is familiar, milk, yogurt, cheese, but nature is generous in other ways too. Leafy greens like kale and bok choy, almonds, tofu, sardines, and fortified plant-based milks are all carriers of calcium. The key is not to rely on a single source, but to embrace variety, allowing the body to absorb calcium steadily and completely. Still, even a careful diet may fall short. For some, digestion becomes less efficient with age. For others, dietary limitations reduce intake. In such cases, supplementation becomes not a shortcut, but a wise choice, especially when paired with vitamin D, which acts as a guide, ushering calcium to where it is needed most. Yet here lies the lesson of balance. More is not always better. Excess calcium, particularly from high-dose supplements, can settle where it does not belong. In the arteries, in the kidneys, creating stones, discomfort, or worse. The goal is harmony, not excess. For most elders, 1,000 to 200 milligrams a day is sufficient, best taken from a mindful combination of food and gentle supplementation. But calcium alone is not enough. The body needs movement. It is in motion that bones grow stronger. Walking, light resistance training, even short periods of weight-bearing activity send a message to the skeleton. Stay strong, you are still needed. Without movement, calcium drifts. It is not drawn into the bones, it lingers unused. That is why stillness, when born of fear or pain, becomes a quiet thief of strength. To neglect calcium is not just to invite weakness, it is to risk losing what so many hold dear, the ability to walk unassisted, to climb stairs, to embrace the world with confidence. Strong bones are not simply for survival, they are the foundation of joy, the pillars of purpose. When the body stands firm, the spirit can soar. In our monastery, there is a lesson we teach not through words, but through observation. I ask my students to walk in silence, one after another, down a narrow path. Their steps must be mindful, their balance certain, their awareness sharp. What most do not realize is that beneath this graceful movement lies an intricate network, a silent wiring that carries the intention of the mind into the motion of the body. This wiring is the nervous system, and within it, a quiet force plays a vital role, vitamin B12. In conversations about strength, the focus often remains on what we can see, muscles, bones, posture. But true movement depends not only on what is visible, but on what flows beneath the surface. Vitamin B12 sustains the nervous system. It ensures that electrical signals pass smoothly from the brain to the spine, from the spine to the legs, and finally into each precise movement of the foot. When B12 is lacking, the current falters, the signal grows weak, the body hesitates, and with time, this hesitation becomes instability. Many older individuals describe their legs as heavy, as if burdened by something unseen. Some feel a strange tingling, others numbness or a creeping sense of disconnection, as if the legs no longer belong fully to the body. These are not simply signs of age, they are messages. The body is asking for help. Vitamin B12 deficiency is more common than most realize, especially in the later stages of life, and the reason lies within our digestion. Unlike other nutrients, B12 does not absorb easily. The body must first produce adequate stomach acid and then release a special protein, intrinsic factor, to extract B12 from food. But as we age, acid production slows. Conditions like gastritis and reflux appear, medications interfere, and so absorption suffers. Even those who eat well may still fall short. Add to this the reality that many elders consume less meat, fish, or eggs, the primary sources of B12, and a slow, steady depletion begins, often unnoticed, often misattributed to just getting older. But the consequences can be profound. Nerve damage, poor coordination, frequent falls, a growing uncertainty in every step. What is most tragic is that this is preventable and, more importantly, reversible. Restoring B12 is like repairing the wires in a weathered house. When the connection is restored, the lights come on again. Seniors who correct their deficiency often report more than physical strength. They regain clarity, stability, and a renewed confidence in how their bodies move through space. So where does B12 come from? Nature has placed it primarily in animal-based foods. Lean meats, fish, eggs, dairy, clams, and liver. These sources are potent and efficient. Liver and shellfish, while rich in B12, may not suit every body. Those managing conditions like gout may wish to choose gentler sources, such as eggs or fortified grains. But not everyone consumes them. Some follow plant-based diets, others struggle with absorption. In such cases, fortified cereals, plant-based milks, or B12 supplements become essential allies. When choosing fortified cereals, seek those low in added sugars, so the gift of B12 is not dimmed by an excess of sweetness. And the good news is this: B12 is one of the safest nutrients to supplement. Even in high doses, the body simply excretes what it does not use. For those with severe deficiencies or absorption issues, injections may be needed, offering a direct path to replenishment. I often encourage elders to have their levels checked. A simple blood test can reveal what the body cannot always say out loud. From there, treatment is clear, safe, and effective. But let us not forget, strong legs are not simply about muscle, they are about precision, speed of response, connection between thought and movement. You may train every day, build every muscle, and still fall if your nerves are not firing when they should. Vitamin B12 is not a supplement for vanity or strength alone. It is the guardian of connection. It ensures that the body listens to the mind, that the step you intend to take is the step your body follows. In this way, B12 offers more than mobility. It offers peace. The peace that comes from trusting your body once again. In the stillness of walking meditation, we train not just the body, but the awareness that guides each step. You may think of walking as a simple act, one foot before the other. Yet beneath that motion lies a delicate dance of nerves, muscles, and minerals. And one of the most quiet, yet essential participants in this dance is magnesium. It does not seek recognition. It works behind the scenes, but every time your leg lifts, your foot touches the ground, your muscles flex and release. Magnesium is there. It ensures that the signals from your brain arrive cleanly to your muscles and that your body knows when to tighten and when to let go. Without it, this harmony is lost. For many elders, leg cramps become a nightly visitor, sudden stabbing pain, muscles that contract without warning, a sleep interrupted by discomfort. These are not random events, they are signs, whispers from the body that magnesium is in short supply. This mineral serves as the master regulator of muscular function. It calms overstimulated nerve signals, softens tension, and prevents spasms. When it is missing, muscles become erratic. They seize, they fatigue, and with time the body grows weary, not from age alone, but from a lack of nourishment at the deepest level. But magnesium's influence extends beyond muscles. It is also a guardian of bone and joint health. While calcium builds, magnesium directs. It guides calcium to where it belongs, the bones, and prevents it from settling in soft tissues where it causes stiffness and pain. In this way, magnesium acts like a wise monk in a crowded temple, bringing order to chaos, restoring flow, ensuring balance. And yet, despite its importance, magnesium deficiency is widespread, especially among the elderly. Why? Because stress, medications, and modern diets all conspire to deplete it. Diuretics, reflux drugs, and blood pressure pills, all common in aging populations, can reduce magnesium levels. In such cases, awareness becomes the first medicine. Certain medications, though helpful in one way, may quietly limit the body's ability to absorb the very nutrients that sustain it. Recognizing this is not a burden, but a form of wisdom, and when meals lack nuts, seeds, greens, and legumes, the body receives little to rebuild. Over time, stamina fades, the legs grow sluggish, stairs feel steeper, even a short walk becomes tiring. It is not just aging, it is the silent absence of what the body once had in abundance. The good news is this: restoration is possible, and often the response is swift. When magnesium levels return to balance, the legs begin to awaken, cramps ease, energy returns, movement, once strained, becomes fluid again. Even sleep improves, no longer broken by sharp tension in the calves. And with that, a renewed sense of trust in the body arises. You may begin with food. Nature offers magnesium through pumpkin seeds, spinach, almonds, black beans, and avocados. Spinach, in particular, offers generous amounts of magnesium, but only when prepared with intention. A light steaming or gentle sautéing softens the oxalates within, allowing the body to absorb the mineral it offers. These are not exotic cures. They are everyday invitations to nourish yourself. For those whose diets or digestion limit absorption, magnesium citrate or glycinate supplements offer support, gentle, effective, and well tolerated. In time, those who once feared movement rediscover its joy. They climb, they stretch, they walk with ease, because magnesium is not merely a nutrient, it is the rhythm behind the motion, the conductor behind the orchestra of the body, and when it returns, so too does the grace of movement. There are mornings, I am told, when the first step out of bed brings not freedom but pain, a sudden cramp in the calf, sharp and unwelcome. For many elders, this is how the day begins. But what if the cause lies not in age or strain, but in something far more subtle, a missing mineral, a quiet imbalance? Potassium is such a mineral. It is not loud in reputation, but it is essential in function. Beneath each movement, it governs the invisible balance of fluids inside and outside your muscle cells. When that balance is disturbed, the muscles respond with confusion, with tightness, spasms, and pain. This is why potassium deficiency so often reveals itself through leg cramps, especially during rest, when we are least prepared for disruption. But cramps are not the only signal. Sometimes the legs tremble after standing. Other times there is a stiffness in the knees or a hesitance in walking, as though the legs have forgotten their rhythm. These are not just symptoms of aging, they are messages from the nervous system. Potassium plays a critical role in helping nerves communicate with muscles. It ensures that your intention to move is translated smoothly into action. When potassium is low, the signal falters, muscles hesitate, coordination weakens, and the risk of falling rises, not because of clumsiness, but because the body no longer listens with precision. For elders, this disconnection is dangerous. A fall is not just an inconvenience, it can be life-changing. That is why potassium must be seen not only as a support for muscle function, but as a guardian of mobility, balance, and structural stability. Fewer people realize that potassium also protects the bones. It helps neutralize excess acid in the body, acid that would otherwise leach calcium from the skeleton, weakening it over time. A potassium-rich diet has been shown to slow bone loss and reduce the risk of osteoporosis, strengthening the legs not just in motion, but in structure. In this way, potassium creates harmony between nerve and muscle, between acid and bone, and harmony is what sustains us. So how do we receive this gift from nature? The answer, as always, begins with food. Bananas may be the first thought, but they are only a small part of a greater offering. Sweet potatoes, spinach, beans, avocados, oranges, even the humble baked potato with its skin are rich in potassium. When these foods become part of your daily rhythm, they nourish both strength and stillness. For those walking the path of balance with diabetes, even natural foods must be approached with presence. A banana, a bowl of cereal, or a sweet potato, though nourishing, should be enjoyed in moderation, ideally with guidance, so that the body receives not only the gift of nutrients, but also the steadiness of blood. For most people, the body requires around 2,600 milligrams per day for women and 3,400 for men. A diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and legumes usually meets this need. But the body is unique. Some conditions, like kidney disease or certain medications, may alter potassium levels unpredictably. In such cases, guidance from a medical professional is not just wise, it is essential. Supplements may seem like a shortcut, but they must be approached with care, because potassium, while vital, must remain in balance. Too little creates tension, too much creates strain. In the end, potassium is a lesson in equilibrium, not just within the body, but in how we live, between activity and rest, between strength and softness. With enough of it, the legs move not with effort, but with grace. And that is the kind of strength we must seek. Not the force to push harder, but the harmony to move without fear. And let us not forget water. Even the finest nutrients require a stream to carry them. Hydration is not only for thirst, it is the quiet force that helps transport potassium, magnesium, and other minerals where they are most needed. Sip slowly, let your body receive it with calm. In the architecture of the body, structure is not enough. A temple made of stone still crumbles if its pieces are not placed in harmony. So it is with our bones. We may nourish them with calcium, we may awaken them with sunlight and vitamin D, but unless these nutrients are guided to the right places, they may settle where they do more harm than good. That is where vitamin K enters, not with force, but with quiet precision. Vitamin K is not often named first. It does not command the spotlight, but it is the unseen guide, the traffic controller that tells calcium where to go. Into the bones, not the arteries. Into the frame, not the soft tissue. Without this guidance, calcium may accumulate in the wrong places. Arteries grow stiff. Joints ache, circulation slows, and even the most well-intentioned efforts to protect the skeleton begin to backfire. But when vitamin K is present and active, the minerals we consume become instruments of strength rather than burdens. For elders, this guidance is sacred. As we age, bones become more fragile, and the margin for error becomes smaller. Studies have shown that individuals with higher vitamin K intake have stronger bones and lower risk of fractures. Why? Because vitamin K activates a protein, osteocalcin, that anchors calcium into the bone matrix, fortifying it from within. Yet the influence of vitamin K does not stop with bones. It moves outward, supporting the joints, the muscles, and the fluidity of motion itself. Healthy legs are not simply about density. They require flexibility, coordination, ease. Vitamin K helps reduce inflammation in the joints, easing the stiffness that settles after long hours of sitting. It slows the quiet march of osteoarthritis and allows the knees to bend, rise, and carry us forward without resistance. Some people think of imbalance and falls as the consequence of weak muscles alone, but instability also comes from poor coordination, a misfiring of signals between nerves and muscle fibers. Vitamin K, it turns out, supports these subtle exchanges too. It helps regulate calcium within muscle cells, ensuring that contractions are precise and movements remain controlled. It is a whisper of order in the motion of the legs. Where does this wisdom come from? Mostly from the green world: spinach, kale, Swiss chard, collard greens, and Brussels sprouts, all rich in vitamin K1. Their bitterness is a gift, not a flaw. To unlock this gift fully, especially in spinach, a gentle touch of heat through steaming or a slow sauté can help dissolve what blocks its offering, allowing its richness to reach the bones it was meant to serve. When consumed daily, even in small amounts, they feed the foundation of strength. Then there is vitamin K2, a more elusive form found in fermented foods like natto, aged cheeses, and in egg yolks or liver. K2 stays longer in the body, guiding calcium more efficiently and deeply into the bones. For those watching their heart health or cholesterol levels, moderation with egg yolks is wise. One does not need excess to receive the benefit. Even half an offering, when chosen with care, is enough. This form, while less common in the Western diet, carries a profound impact. But not everyone absorbs vitamin K easily. Digestive disorders, antibiotic use, or age-related decline can hinder its uptake. In such cases, supplements may help, yet one must tread carefully. Because vitamin K also plays a role in blood clotting, those on medications like warfarin must consult their doctors before increasing their intake. Wisdom lies not in adding more, but in balancing with care. In the end, vitamin K teaches us this: that strength is not only about mass, it is about direction, precision, order. It is the silent guide, reminding the body where to build and where to release. And in that guidance, we find stability, not only in the legs, but in life itself. In the quiet moments between breath and movement, I often reflect on what sustains us, not merely in form, but in energy. Strength, after all, is not only the ability to lift or push, it is the capacity to continue, to recover, to endure. And for that, we must turn our attention inward, to the blood that carries oxygen, to the nerves that signal intention, and to a quiet force that links them both, vitamin B6. Known as pyridoxine, this humble nutrient is often overlooked. Many speak of calcium or protein when discussing muscle health, but vitamin B6 plays a deeper role, one that bridges systems linking muscle, nerve, and oxygen into a single thread of vitality. Without it, the body begins to falter, not all at once, but gradually. Muscles once strong grow tired too soon. A short walk leaves the legs heavy. Climbing stairs feels like lifting stone. These are not always signs of age. Often, they are signs of depletion. Vitamin B6 supports the repair and regeneration of muscle tissue. It helps the body utilize protein, the very material of strength. Without it, muscles cannot rebuild. They cannot recover. But its influence does not end with the muscles. It is within the nervous system that B6 reveals its subtle wisdom. It sharpens the signals that pass between brain and body, ensuring they arrive clean, clear, and quick. When B6 is low, those messages slow. They stutter, coordination falters, a foot lands awkwardly, a balance is lost, a moment of grace is replaced with hesitation. This is why numbness, tingling, and instability often appear in those who lack vitamin B6. And yet, many dismiss these sensations as normal aging, when in truth, the body is simply asking for what it needs to maintain its delicate rhythm. But there is more. B6 plays a vital role in reducing inflammation, especially the kind that builds quietly in the muscles after movement. For those who experience stiffness after walking or soreness that lingers longer than it should, this vitamin becomes a silent ally, easing tension, restoring resilience. Then there is the blood, the river of vitality that flows through us. Vitamin B6 is necessary for the production of red blood cells. These cells carry oxygen to the muscles. When B6 is insufficient, that river runs shallow. Muscles are deprived of the air they need to move with endurance. The result is fatigue, not from weakness of will, but from lack of fuel. So how do we restore this internal flame? Nature, in its generosity, has offered many paths. B6 can be found in salmon and tuna, in poultry, in chickpeas and potatoes, in bananas and fortified grains. These are not rare or distant foods. They are everyday blessings waiting to be woven into your meals with intention. For some, however, diet alone is not enough. Age, digestive issues, or dietary limitations may hinder absorption. In such cases, supplements offer support, but here, as always, we walk the path of balance. The body needs little, just 1.5 to 1.7 milligrams per day, depending on age and gender. And while B6 is water-soluble and generally safe, excessive intake over long periods can lead to nerve issues, the very function it is meant to protect. So we do not overreach, we nourish, we observe, we replenish with care. When B6 levels are restored, something shifts. The body no longer struggles to move, it flows. Energy returns not as a surge, but as a steadiness, an ability to rise from a chair without effort, to walk longer distances, to feel once again connected to movement itself. This is what we seek, not force, not strain, but endurance. A quiet strength that carries us through each day with clarity and grace. In my years guiding others, I have learned this. What often appears as decline is, in truth, imbalance. And what we mistake as aging is sometimes only the absence of what once sustained us. So, let us not wait for pain to awaken wisdom. Let us nourish the body before it cries out. Let food become medicine. Let awareness guide our choices. And let each step we take on stairs, in gardens, or simply across the room be rooted in strength, precision, and ease. For the journey is not over, the body still listens, the legs still remember, and the spark within you, though quiet, is not gone. It only waits to be fed. Let what feeds you be more than a capsule. Let it be a meal made with care, a bowl of soup, a piece of fruit, the sound of breath in stillness. Supplements may assist, but it is through food, movement, and mindful living that true strength returns.